referring to the crystal skull in the
Yes.
Museum of Man, how would one read the map that has been left?
There can be many ways, again, depending upon different individuals, but allow me to say what you could. Now, come face to face, figuratively speaking, with this structure, sit face to face, look into its eyes. Now, this will be the most difficult part for most individuals at this time, in that there have been put, in your terminology, in a sense, safeguards within this idea. Understand that it is the reading of a combination that would lead to a doorway. Those that created that combination, those that created that doorway, left a type of key that would not let, in a sense, just anyone follow. The key that allows it to be difficult will be that as you look into those eyes, you must allow those eyes to look into you. And you may form connections that will allow you to bring up consciously within yourself much of what you may find to be fearful. And you must deal with it. You must allow it. You must integrate it. Then will you be able to read the pathways within the crystal that lead to the combination. But always it will demand of you that you be as clear as the crystal itself.
Now, in terms of, once one has done that, I presume that allowing the eyes to look at you is just being able to conceive that and be comfortable with that.
Can be,
And allow it
yes.
to happen.
This will be, at this time, very individualistic because of the nature of the high frequency resonance of the skull itself.
Okay. Once one has done that, integrated the fear, and in a sense opened the door, then would one physically see
You will
shadows?
know.
I'm not going to actually do it, but I've got some other ideas. So.
You may see many ideas round and about you, different things. The idea of the doorways may become apparent. You may actually even see some of the individuals who have crossed, as they may be standing there waiting for you to see if you make it or not.
Would these be seen, shall we say, within the crystal skull? Or
Maybe round and about you in physical space as you understand it. You would be tuning into their vibration, you would be identifying with their world, and you would then make the transition and see them right there with you. You follow me?
Yes, I do. If one were to access other dimensions via the crystal skull, would they be able to choose the kind of dimension that they wanted to access?
At this time, we perceive that this will be the rarer of the cases. For the most part, you may find that they have endeavored to synchronize their vibration in such a way with the vibration of anyone who would use the skull, so that you would probably be most likely to step into their reality first before continuing on. From there, you may access as many dimensions as you wish, but understand that you have that ability in this dimension as well. Simply that if you use that particular symbol or device, you are more likely to follow the flow of their direction, because that is what they set up that device to do.
I see. If one were to use the crystal skull and access the other dimension, would that person ostensibly disappear from this dimension?
It is a possibility. We will not in this, I'll say, sense, nor at this time, lay you odds on any such idea, because it will be at that time quite an individualized event. Will have to do with quite a great deal of restructuring of the personality, and as such, you will find that you will experience that ability within a great unlocking of realities, and thus, in a sense, it is wide open for interpretation, nothing we can pin down.
Yes, Bashar, a friend of mine was in San Francisco this last weekend going to the First World Crystal Conference. And when he was there, he saw the crystal skull that you mentioned that I
Nice.
asked you about before that came from Machu Picchu or that area
Nice.
and wound up somewhere in the Aztec civilization. Was that the same one? Mayans.
Nice.
Okay. He also met the lady who's, I think, in her 80s now, who was along with her father when he found the skull.
Nice.
And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
About what?
About the crystal skull, how, I don't know, there's something I want to know that I don't know how to put in words about it. And it's connected to the whole idea of crystals and also the fact that the Cherokee Indians have in their legend that they dreamed themselves here to Earth from,
Yes.
from the planet that circles Sirius
Nice.
with the aid of crystal skulls.
Nice. For as we have said, the idea of the crystal skulls is a representation of dimensional doorways. Those that can learn to read them can cross through. That is what the Mayans also did.
Okay, well that particular one that that was discovered in South America among the Mayan ruins, was that was the one that originally came from Peru?
It has been around. Some of the technology is also Atlantean.
Was the skull itself that old?
There were others.
Okay.
Bashar,
Hey!
I believe you're familiar with the crystal skull, the anti-crystal skull that was
Hey.
found in Guatemala and lives in Toronto now. Don't touch the mic, sorry. The skull is presently on display in Phoenix, Arizona, where a group of people has looked at the skull and seen dolphins in the skull.
It is a gateway and a doorway to many different dimensions and levels of consciousness.
This group is trying to arrange with me. They are
Arranging.
sorry,
Do not be sorry.
to transport the skull to Miami and then to Marathon, Florida, to put it in proximity to our dolphins.
How exciting! Maybe the dolphins
Yes.
will see humans in the skull.
I wondered if you could comment on that proposed interaction and tell me
What is there to comment on? It sounds very exciting. It is a dimensional doorway, and because you are willing to open up communication between your land humans and water cetaceans, you will allow yourself to learn from them how to telepathically communicate the proper code sequence into the skull to open it up to doorways through which many other civilizations upon your planet have already stepped and closed the door behind them. The idea is that encoded within the skull is the matrix to open that doorway, and any individual that wishes to find it simply needs to sit down and commune in a meditative state with the skull, locking eye contact to eye contact. If that individual cannot integrate all the fears within themselves, they will not be able to unlock the code, and that is the safety valve on the door.
You said that the dolphins would be able to communicate with the skull.
They will know what it is for. Some of them may be able to utilize it. Some of them may be able, when they are in its presence and when it is in their presence, to activate certain electromagnetic phenomena around it that may be visible to you. Look for ionization of the air in the dark. Look for certain sparklings of light in the air that may represent motes, in a sense representing the idea you call miniature gateways, miniature doorways, the preamble to the opening of a major door, a major gate. You may see them as sparkling light. Some of them may be ghostly, nebulous at first. Some of them may be very bright pinpoints of light in the air. All of these phenomena will be indicative that the skull will recognize when it is in the presence of an integrated mentality, an integrated consciousness that wishes to use it as a doorway. Because of your telepathic communications with the dolphin, you can allow them to tutor you, to guide you as to the proper use of the opening of that doorway to help integrate the fears and the different levels that you have fragmented your consciousness into so that you can approach the doorway as an integrated being. Many individuals, when they approach that doorway as a non-integrated being, will conjure up images and vibrations on the emotional level, in the emotional body, that will generate fear within them, and that is what makes them back off and make sure the door stays closed to individuals who are not integrated. You follow me?
Yes. Will, when the dolphins are in communication with the skull and then they in turn communicate with us, will this communication be along the lines that it has been all along, a sort of a subliminal mood perspective, very subtle shift, or...
You may feel great tuggings in your emotional form. Anxiety rushes at first, perhaps. Temperature differences within your solar plexus. These will all be indications that you are standing in the presence of a very powerful ethereal-magnetic field.
So the dolphin, our contact with the dolphins will be, in fact, enhanced and dramatized by the presence of the skull.
Oh, yes.
Will you be aware of what is happening there? Will you,
To some degree, we will keep tabs. A little bit.
Thank you very much.
We thank you for your excitement and your willingness. Sharing.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I just learned about some things that have been excavated in South America. There are a life-size figure of a man, a woman, and a little boy that are made out of pure quartz crystal. And I've also just learned that in the Wyoming-Montana area of our country, they're uncovering a crystal skull that is 9 feet in diameter and weighs 1,000 pounds.
We are beginning now to discover many of the ideas that were understood by civilizations on your planet, by all of you in those civilizations on your planet in your past. You are now regaining and remembering the idea of who many of you have been and many of the things you have all created. Many of the things you knew then are what you are rediscovering now. Many of the aspects that represented the blending and the balancing and the vitality and the conviction of the society you were then in touch with the natural elements themselves. Now that you are rediscovering these things, archaeologically speaking, you are now able to understand the principles upon which they were created and apply those principles in what you call your contemporary society.
Can you give me some idea of what the origin of these are? Are they from our planet, or are they
Yes, they are.
from Atlantean or Lemurian times?
Some of them, yes,
Both?
yes. The idea in general is that the knowledge was shared by many of those civilizations and manifested by many specific cultures around your world, especially what you call your American Indian cultures. The idea simply is because they did not allow themselves to lose touch as quickly with the idea of the natural communication with other dimensions of consciousness and your planetary consciousness. These crystalline objects basically contain within them energy patterns in the crystal that represent the ability, if you mimic the energy pattern in the crystal within your own consciousness, the ability to transcend to different dimensional planes. They are keys in that way. Understand?
This relates to the Mayan experience we discussed previously?
Yes. These are more accelerated and more ancient versions of these ideas. Higher power. Which shows now that your consciousness as a society is beginning to blend sufficiently to be able to take advantage of these larger powered artifacts. Understand?
Yes.
So identification, what you may call meditation upon, identification with these crystalline forms, can allow many crystallizations to take place within your consciousness that will accelerate the impact of your individual consciousness around the world, your planet, many times, and throughout universal reality. They are signals, signposts, beacons, mirrors, reflections, amplifiers of your consciousness. Amplifiers of the crystalline consciousness you are all becoming. You can use them that way if you wish, and enter new dimensions of yourself. Understand?
Yes. Can you discuss the legend about the little boy figurine? The Indians say that if he's removed from the mountain that he's buried in, that their village or their area will be destroyed.
Basically, not that that has to happen in that way, but basically what is being understood is that if they are energy gates, they do have a certain relation to the energy fields of your planet. Where they are is for a reason. They amplify the energy in the most harmonious way. To move them out of alignment to some degree would be analogous to having one of your machines running on high speed and taking a part of it away in the middle of the operation. What do you think would happen? Understand?
Yes.
So the idea simply is that the balance of the energy includes those figurines because their vibration has been matched to that area. They amplify the magnetic vortex of that area. To remove them would be, in a sense, to set the machine askew.
How does that relate to the Mayan skulls that have been discovered and removed to museums or to private collections?
To some degree, they are a little more portable. They are, in a sense, what you would call remote aspects, being only what you would call the skull, the head of a whole figurine. So they are the eyes, the remote probes, the remote units that can be moved, in a sense, to many different locales. Now, they are all each keyed to specific locales, but they can be rekeyed. Understand?
Yes, and I just want to ask if these new discoveries are a part of the crystal skulls that have been discovered. Supposedly, when all the artifacts have been uncovered, there will be great information for all of our universe when they're all brought together.
In a sense, yes. If any individual in any locale sits down with any one of those skulls, they can communicate not only with different dimensions of experience, if they are clear enough, they can communicate with anyone else who has a skull, anywhere. Understand?
But do they have more power when they're all brought together in one location?
They can be amplified logarithmically in that way, yes. They will have a different purpose then, a different function. They will then be able to literally produce the combined magnetic vortex that can be literally physically felt to be a gate, a dimension of experience. At this time, not meaning to instill fear in any of you, I would be cautious about doing that, because it will cause a type of acceleration that will force anyone present in that area to really face all the aspects of their consciousness. All of them.
Thank you very much, Bashar.
Thank you for your willingness to now develop crystal clarity.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I wonder if you can elaborate on how the Mayan civilization was able to evolve into fourth density by changing their brain pattern.
Yes.
We want to
Now,
discuss.
not all of them, but a great deal of them have done so. The idea simply is that some of it was, in your terms, done, as you say, physically, surgically. Some of it was done then later simply mentally. Most of it really simply has to do, first of all, with the belief and understanding, a true knowledge that physical and non-physical reality are simply different expressions of the same one existence, and that there really isn't a big difference between the two until you make a big difference between the two. That was their first thing. Remember that they lived in a society, to begin with, that perpetuated the reality of dreams. Understand?
Such as the Aborigines?
Yes. And therefore, if you know, and if you are brought up to know dreams are real, then you can concoct a dream and step into it. Literally. And it will be another vibratory dimension of experience. And you will then, in your terms, disappear from the other dream that you were dreaming before. Understand?
Yes.
So, one very strong method of assistance they left behind are the idea of the crystal skull that you may be aware of on your planet, for they contain in what you might call magnetic molecular structures holographically within the skull all the patterns of arrangement that are necessary in the neuronic pathways of the brain to create the same effect. They are left as keys, as markers in that sense. The easiest way to align yourself, to allow the skull to align your neurological pathways of electrical activity in the brain to match their brain activity, to be able to open the same doors, is to sit yourself in front of one of the skulls and look into its eye. If you find in this way that the eyes reflect to you ideas and images of things that you may have suppressed within yourself, belief systems that you may have bought into that now are allowed by the skull to bubble to the surface, if you find you cannot face them, and if you are fearful of them and cannot integrate them, you will not align, you will not open the door, and that is what you call the safety lock. If you can align, if you can allow yourself to clear with love and light, then all those doors will be able to be opened to you in that sense. All it takes is the alignment. The skull in that sense can be used to reflect that alignment to you. But individuals who cannot handle that idea will allow themselves far too much fear and will not be able to even face the skull for a very long period of time. Understand?
Yes.
So that is one way you can match their idea.
Did they create the skulls?
Yes, although not all of them. Some of the older ones, in your terminology, date all the way back to what you would call Atlantean times. They did match some of them, but not all of them.
The Mitchell Hedges one?
One of the oldest.
So that's Atlantean rather than Mayan.
More so. And more many other things.
Please tell us first about the ancient crystal skulls. For example, how were they used in ancient times of Central and South American civilizations? What was their function?
All right, thank you. Well, first and foremost, you must understand that some of the oldest ones go back much further in your history than the cultures to which you are ascribing those skulls. Where some of the original ones were discovered, where some of the more ancient ones were discovered in your present modern day age, was where the skulls wound up eventually, but that's not necessarily where they originated. You follow?
Yes.
The idea is that these skulls go back, many of them, to 13, 17, 25, and even 30,000 of your years ago. You follow?
Yes.
And were present in what you call the culture of your Atlantis. Thus then, many of them, later on, were exported, were taken, were transported to other locations on your planet. Some of them very specifically to what you call your North and Central and South American continents, which were very close in proximity to the western portion of the Atlantean Empire. Thus then, when the Atlantean Empire began to dissolve, began to break apart, many of them, along with other things, were transported to safer locations. And the culture, thus then, was continued. And the rituals and the interactions with these devices were continued in those areas for quite some time, up until around what you call about 10,500 BC, as you say in your counting, to about 7,000 BC, where utilization of these devices did begin to wane as knowledge of these devices was lost, as individuals, older individuals who were practiced in the utilization, the priests, the shamans, as you say, the scientists of the day who were practiced in the utilization of these crystal skulls, in a sense began to die out as the culture began to change and as information, in a sense, was no longer handed down from generation to generation in the same way. Much of the practice and utilization of these devices was forgotten. There were a few individuals on your planet who maintained the knowledge, but found over time that fewer and fewer individuals were either interested in or capable of learning the practice of how to best interact with these devices, how to best utilize these devices, and so in a sense it is like a lost art form. To some degree this is being reclaimed today, but as you say, we will talk about that later. The idea, however, is that in Atlantean times these existed, and some of them were created even before Atlantean times. In the early days, before it was really a cohesive society, there were certain individuals upon your planet who would come together now and then to create new ideas, new ways of expressing intelligence and consciousness. And they were the ones, this community, 13 of them, 13 masters were the ones who each created one of the master skulls, and that's why you know in your legends, your stories, your myths, there are 13 master skulls, because they belong to the 13 original individuals, the 13 original masters, each of whom created a master skull.
What is the significance of the coming together of the 13 skulls?
Well, the primary significance, as we have just described, is that it is like the coming together again of the original 13 masters in terms of the collective energy that they brought with them in that congregation that was utilized in the creation of the original 13 skulls. So bringing the 13 skulls together recreates, in a sense, the original master vibration of the original meeting, the original creation of the skulls, and is a very powerful state.
Is that reflective of a certain state on Earth when that actually does occur?
It is representative of the idea of pure transition, pure transformation, the idea of the unlocking of old realities and allowing them to go into full neutrality interdimensionally so that you can then recrystallize in that neutral state whatever vibrational pattern you believe is representative of the dimension or reality or shift that you prefer. So bringing them all together allows for a true unlocking, a true neutralization of your reality vibration so that new vibrations can be imposed in, can be brought in, and that a new reality can be recrystallized from the neutral state that is created by bringing all the master skulls together. That is why the number 13 in your society is regarded as a transformational number.
Now, when these skulls were created, how were they carved?
The originals were carved in a variety of ways, but primarily a technique was used of vibration. When the 13 masters got together, they had practiced the ability of creating certain sounds, sometimes with their own bodies, sometimes with certain instruments, that when these sounds were created, certain other crystalline devices would vibrate very rapidly in the presence of these sounds. And by vibrating very rapidly, they could actually be used as a type of cutting tool on the master crystals and shape the master crystals, not in the same way that your society does, through the idea of striking or cutting, but by the idea of very, very fine molecular manipulation through the idea of sound vibration with these other crystals that would be passed over the master crystals and allow the molecules that were not needed to be cut away and shaped through sonic vibration. You understand?
Yes. Did each skull have its own unique purpose and or intent?
They all have the same basic function and purpose, but each does have a unique signature that is representative of the master that created it, and thus has a unique quality that is also representative of that master. You will find that these things have a lot of similarity to what we recently shared with you regarding the sacred circuits and the qualities that those circuits represent. So you can refer to the idea of the qualities that we delivered with respect to the sacred circuitry diagrams, and you will find that many of these qualities are like unto the qualities or the symbols or signature frequencies of the 13 master skulls, such as transformation, such as expansion, such as balance, such as manifestation, and so on and so forth.
How were these 13 individuals chosen?
They chose themselves. The idea is that it was recognized that these individuals simply used synchronicity to bring themselves together because they all had a common dream. Even though they were in remote locations from each other, they all had a common dream that told them how to find each other, and simply found each other through that dream, coming into physical reality, using the information in the dream to search each other out and find each other through synchronicity. You understand?
Yes.
They met in the dream level then. They met in the non-physical world and created a template, a crystalline pattern that would allow their physical minds to dream the necessary dream so that they would be capable in waking state to find each other through the remembrance of the dream.
And their purpose in coming together, were they consciously aware of what they were creating?
Because what they knew is that they were being given a gift from spirit, a gift that would aid and assist the cultures of the time, the people of the time, that would be that which would allow for great ease of connection to spirit, great ease of transformation, great connection to the idea of source, and great facilitation with regard to the shifting of your reality experience in the physical world. So they were given this gift, this idea from spirit, and in that sense manifested it in physiological form to be representative of a key, a master key that would allow for great fluidity and malleability of physical reality and manifestations that were desired upon the earth, to bring down higher energies into physical manifestation, to ground those higher energies like a circuit into physical manifestation and materiality. Do you follow?
Yes. And once they all came together,
yes,
what happened after that?
They each brought with them their raw master crystal. And thus then, through many, many, many days of meditation, many, many days of a shared and combined dream state, did they thus understand exactly what needed to be done with these crystals and how they were to be shaped. And they received this information from non-physical guidance.
Once they had actually completed imbuing the skulls and creating them,
then they carry them back to their own locations in the world, each to a different culture, but in that they were all together at the beginning. They are also keyed to each other. So no matter how far apart physically they may be, there is always some connection, some linkage, some vibration. Now, because of the nature of physical reality being what it is, physical proximity does still tend to amplify and focus the energy of the 13 master skulls. But even though they may be separated by great distance of thousands of your miles, nevertheless they are still interconnected, though not necessarily as strongly, or shall we say, as in a focused way, or for a particular focused purpose as they are when they are all within physical proximity to one another. Nevertheless, being dispersed throughout the world, they were still able to, in a sense, maintain a link with each other, and individuals could communicate with each other in different locations through these skulls. You understand?
yes.
They would tap into the skull in a meditative state on different places at different times that were preordained, prearranged in that sense. And thus then at these prearranged ritualistic times was information shared and downloaded into the skulls and through the skulls to the other skulls and to the other individuals around the world, so that all could stay in touch and know what was going on in different places, and that also they could coordinate different acts, different efforts. This is why you find that around your world the idea of the Great Pyramid and the Pyramid of the Sun and other structures around the planet that were all created about the same time were all coordinated at the same time, and why there are so many similarities in some of these cultures. You understand?
Yes. Once the crystal skulls had been taken to various parts of the planet,
yes,
historically what then occurred to bring us to the present day where the crystal skulls are separated and many of them have not yet been recovered?
Well, there were many, many different kinds of changes that have taken place, of course, upon your planet. Sociological changes, physiological changes, energetic changes that caused cataclysms and catastrophes and all sorts of other kinds of upheavals, even sociological and even physiological and even mental and even psychological, that would cause individual cultures to forget about these things. Sometimes they were even literally buried under cataclysms and long forgotten because they could not be recovered, because many civilizations have been wiped out by many different means over time. And the idea is that a remnant of these ideas always survived, but not in a coordinated way after a time, because of the many changes that took place upon your planet. But now, in your transformational age, you are all awakening, you are all remembering, you are all remembering that these things existed, because you are drawing upon the awakening of your consciousness, and so you are tapping into these ancient memories, because memories are created in the present. Everything exists in the now. So all this information still exists and is still accessible right here, right now, and as you awaken and as you broaden your access and your sensitivity to the idea of information from spirit, you are remembering and also thus then rediscovering physically some of these master skulls, because remember, everything that happens in physical reality is a reflection of changes going on in your individual and collective consciousness. So as these awarenesses awaken within you, so too will many of you synchronistically discover some of these ancient skulls, or, as you said, contemporarily, will be driven, will be urged creatively, artistically to make new skulls as a representation of the vibration of these original master skulls, to reflect this idea being brought back into your mainstream contemporary culture now. You are recapturing, remembering an old idea and making it new again, to disperse that energy throughout your planet, to again allow you more ease of unlocking from your old ways, your old beliefs, your old patterns, your old habits, your old ideas, and to give you that neutrality that is like the crucible melting down the crystal into liquid form, so that you can imbue within it the essence, the qualities, the attributes that you prefer, and allow it to cool and crystallize once again into a new reality. That is the overarching symbology for the collective consciousness. Do you follow? All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, thank you. Once again, we thank each and every one of you individually and all together collectively for the opportunity to interact this way with all of you. It is a great gift to us. We will begin this transmission with what we have titled the Council of 13 and the Crystal Skulls. Now, we know there has been much speculation, much mystery surrounding the idea of these crystal skulls that exist on your planet. And to some degree, that is part of the point. Mystery. They are keyed. The genuine skulls, the original skulls, the ancient skulls are keyed to the very idea of opening the doors to mystery, of exploring the unknown. They act, in a sense, as transceivers, translation objects, to bring higher frequency energies from other realms down into your realm, and are translated through those that interact with them through the filters of your belief systems in certain ways, but generally speaking, put you in touch with many mysteries that lie in the unknown, in other dimensions, other realities, other civilizations, even other levels of your own consciousness. They are kind of a simulacrum, a stand-in for a blank person, to allow that blank person, that skull, to take on whatever form of information is important and necessary for those who are dedicated to utilizing them as permission slips to access other layers of their own consciousness, other levels of dimensional consciousness. So they can shapeshift in a way to bring forth feelings, sounds, images, other forms of sensation that will pattern themselves, arrange themselves in whatever way, shape, or form is germane for the person utilizing that particular skull. Now, the original master skull has not been found. The original master skull was created some 11,000 of your years ago in an Atlantean province that you now know on your planet as the area called Guatemala. But that skull was copied, and in copying it, allowed the configuration of the original master skull, the energy of that skull, to be duplicated so that it can be carried around to different places. The master skull never leaves its origin point, but its representative can be taken around to imbue other areas with its frequency. The skull you see before you today, that which you have called the Mitchell-Hedges skull, is the duplicate of the master skull. This then allows you to tap into the vibration of the original Atlantean master skull, even though the skull physically itself is not present with you and has not yet, as we said, been discovered, but will one day be uncovered. For now, you have this skull as the initial duplicate that allows you to tap into the origins of this as it was created and as it was utilized by a council of 13 in Atlantean times that spread around the planet over time, taking with them, sharing this vibration, sharing this skull, traveling to and fro around your planet. And in each place that they decided to dedicate that vibration, to honor that connection point to the stars, to other dimensions, to their consciousness, and set up a kind of school or training facility to teach those who wish to get in touch with those aspects to do so, they would create a skull, a new skull in that place, imbue it with the energy of the duplicate skull, the copying skull, for that purpose. So each new location would have that vibration to tap into, all of which then form a net, a web, back to the original Atlantean master skull. This then is the key skull that allows you to create the vibration in any other skull of the Atlantean master skull. So any skull you may have that is brought within about a 3-foot radius of this skull will take on, after about 15 minutes, the vibrational pattern of the duplicate skull that mirrors the original master Atlantean skull. Thus then, when you take that new skull with you, anywhere you go, and set up any kind of a permission slip ritual for yourself to tap into those other levels of consciousness, be they earthbound, be they starbound, you will then be able to set up that place, that location, be it your home or your center or your school or whatever you wish, with a simulacrum of that frequency to allow it to gently and slowly imbue that area with that energy, again, allowing that web to be formed once again around your planet as it was in ancient times, forming connections and bonds between like-minded individuals who choose to operate and learn to operate on those frequencies. The original Council of 13 were the original ones that carried and shared the duplicate skull to different places in the North, Central, South Americas, as you call them, in Europe and Africa and Asia, as you call it, and even into Antarctica. So the idea is that there is always a center, or at least there used to be, around your planet that carried that frequency using the key skull, the duplicating skull, the copying skull, that always allows those to go back to the master Atlantean skull. It has faded over time for a variety of reasons because of different changes taking place on your planet in your collective energy and so on and so forth, but it can be rewoven again like an energetic tapestry, as we have said, by allowing other skulls where they were created with the intention of tapping into the self, tapping into the unknown, tapping into the great mysteries of creation. Wherever that intention resides in any of the permission slip skulls you may have created later, and bring them into proximity in the energetic field of this duplicating skull, taking it with you, will begin to reweave that tapestry around the planet. Now, the original council would also use this in a variety of ways by allowing it to be in proximity when sleeping, when in repose, when relaxing, when meditating. It has the ability to help facilitate and accelerate the idea of out-of-body experiences as well. It has the ability, again, to allow you to open up to the idea of the channeling state as well. It has the ability to allow you to help yourselves facilitate communication with other beings and other consciousnesses and other dimensions, other civilizations among the stars, and in deeply within your own consciousness, other aspects of your own personality, to bring them to the forefront, to allow yourself to integrate all these different aspects of your own personality, using the skulls that you imbue with this energy, again, as a kind of blank person, a clean slate, but in imposing upon that slate your own ideas and understandings and belief systems, allowing the skull to help you adjust and bring into alignment those things and reflect them back to you in a way that will help you align those aspects within your own personality construct so as to be more in alignment with your higher mind and with your spirit and with your soul and with your oversoul and with all that is. You can use it that way to bring things into alignment, for the skull will show you very clearly and amplify and magnify what is out of alignment with you, to show you what needs to be brought back into alignment if you wish to use it that way as well. So it was used for clarifying, aligning, centering, and when that part of the experience and that part of the relationship with the skull was brought back into alignment, was completed, then you can accelerate forward using it for the other reasons that we said about projecting astrally and connecting to other kinds of consciousness in the cosmos. The idea first and foremost, though, is to go through the ritual of alignment and let it help you ascertain that alignment for yourself so that you can accelerate and can proceed much more quickly in the other direction, going into the more esoteric realms of the great mystery of the cosmos. Is this making some sense to you? So, it acts as an unlocking key. It acts as a template for you to fashion your present personality on and let the skull show you how to realign your personality to be something more in alignment with your higher mind. You can begin to use it this way, and as I said, if you bring your own skulls within a 3-foot radius of it for 15 minutes and take that with you, it will be imbued with that particular vibration that leads back to the Atlantean master skull.
The next one is the third Hall of Records from Atlantis in the area where the skull was found?
No.
Okay. How do other crystal skulls interact with this one, like Max and Shannara?
Well, again, being that this is a master duplication skull, the other skulls in its proximity will take on some of the configuration of that frequency, that vibration, as we just explained. But it will be tailored or colored by the purpose of the skulls that are in proximity to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So its molecular matrix, its vibrational resonance, will take on some of the attributes of the master skull, but it will always retain some of the uniqueness of the purpose and intention behind the creation of the other skulls.
Yes. Okay, I understand that. One question is there any correlation with the skull and it being Passover?
This is a subject that we will go into at another time, for it entails many different concepts that there is not time for us to explain right now, to lay down a foundation before we take that subject further.
And what is the connection between ETs and the crystal skulls?
Well, as we said, the original information was given in conjunction between the idea of high priests and extraterrestrial sources. The original technology comes from extraterrestrial and interdimensional sources.
And the creation of it then was designed in a certain way that it would elicit a certain response from human consciousness?
Yes.
And AI, how is AI connected with this?
That's another conversation for another time.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I've answered a call to a quest of remembering.
Remembering what? More of who you are?
That's part of it.
All right. What's the other part?
the role I've played and the role the crystal skulls are playing.
Yes. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how's the journey so far?
Very fast and very full of synchronicity. And lots
Oh,
of
all
excitement.
right. And so?
And so I've come for more clarity.
About what?
Around the archetypes that the
Yes.
different skulls
Represent?
are representing
Yes.
and the source in which they've been encoded.
Well, the original source goes back to what you would call Atlantean times. And so it was understood that eventually, because there are cycles on your planet where things may come together and then be broken apart and so on and so forth, that certain understandings and knowledge should be imbued in many different forms. The crystal skulls, all 13, are one of those forms. The master skull has yet to be discovered, but there are those that, in a sense, were infused with the knowledge from the master skull, and some of them exist in public and some of them still do not, of the originals.
You've spoken a bit of this, one particular one, the Mitchell Hedges skull.
Cucumots.
My question was more about the others.
Yes.
And the other energies, the archetypal energies that they're holding.
Well, we have spoken recently of one that does exist in the care of indigenous people in the northeastern United States border, Canada, in that region generally, that goes by the name of sequoia. And it has to do with connections to the trees and nature. That's its archetypal energy. Then there is that which exists near Angkor Wat that is called Tet and has to do with other kinds of archetypal energy. And then there is that in Tibet known as Shan that has to do with other dimensional realms and portals. These are the ones that we can discuss at this time. The others have their timing and have yet to be discovered in ways that will allow all eventually to be brought together into the master circle of 13.
And along those lines, is there a reason why they're not able to be spoken about? The other archetypes?
You're not ready.
Me personally or humanity?
Humanity in general. Some individuals may be ready before the population, and through synchronicity, you may find your way before the general population, because that is your passion and your interest. But in general, we are only allowed to go so far in this information, not only because it might not be appropriate at the moment, and also maybe because there are people who are simply not ready for it, but it might also not be our job to dispense that information. It might be the job of others.
That makes sense.
Once again.
Along those lines, I've received a lot of information recently from the skulls. It felt like a stream of other languages, cosmic languages and maps.
Yes.
And
there's a lot of knowledge and information embedded in the skulls. In various languages, not even the languages only of Earth.
Yes, and then I saw faces and eyes of specific races.
Yes.
And was receiving ways of communicating with all the different races.
Very good.
In that, it made me curious too about what I've been remembering.
Yes.
Around the hybrids involvement.
Yes.
And just the understanding of how humanity was seeded.
Through the idea of the genetic alterations, you mean?
More like, what are the combinations of the races, and what are those relationships, what are those histories?
Well, there are many. And again, some we cannot necessarily discuss at this time. But we have already mentioned that there are Sirius connections and Orion connections and Lyran connections, Pleiadian connections, Arcturus connections, hybrid connections, gray connections, parallel reality connections, and several others that we won't mention right now.
So the hunch that I'm having, or I guess the part of the remembrance, is these skulls in a way accessing multiple.
One moment. Receiving new data. What is coming to the forefront also recently is the connection to some of the star systems that form the constellation you call Draco, the dragon. This is coming more back into your consciousness at this time as a connection. So this is another portal that is awakening.
I've had memories of being a dragon.
Well, yes and no. Not in the literal sense as people think. The idea of the dragon represents many different kinds of things and archetypal levels of beings from other dimensions that express themselves in certain ways in your physical reality that take on the form that you are calling a dragon. So it is not necessarily meant as a typical flesh and blood animal, but you are connected to the energetics and the idea of the systems that we just referred to in the Draco constellation. And this is not in any way, shape, or form meant in the negative connotation of draconian.
Yeah, and along those lines, the different frequencies of those systems and those races are encoded in these skulls. I'm just curious about the function of them as memory, them working together, their collective.
Well, yes, it gives you your entire history. It gives you an understanding of connections to all the different races of which you have some connection to among the stars, the galactic family, and many other things, many other levels of knowledge and understanding of the structure and nature of existence and many things.
And how does that serve, or how can that serve humanity at this time?
Really?
Well, I know the answer to that. I'm more wanting to have the dialogue with you.
Well, it's a quest. To search for them is to search within the self and to discover those parts within the self that are represented by aspects and archetypal energies that are represented in the skulls. So it's part of a quest to pull yourselves back together. In a sense, a gathering, an awakening, a realization, a shamanistic journey of understanding and awakening.
That resonates also on the level of what humanity's invitation is to evolve to a different
invitation that exists for all life to be all that is.
Along those lines, are the crystal skulls also the crystalline form of them?
Yes. What about it? It's a good storage.
Also just a clue of what we are able to evolve to or return to.
There is more and more silicon evolving in your bodies to make you more receptive antennas. Not only to higher frequency energies, but also to the skulls.
Would you say that there's a shift happening in terms of a shift in our species, like turning into a different species?
This is what we mean when we say Earth is becoming the sixth hybrid race. And we have already said many times, whether you are aware of it or not, that many of the children that have been being born for the past few decades on your planet are not new generations, they are a new species.
Yeah, I was feeling that. A new species, but also able to communicate with those other off-world species.
Well, yes, of course. That's part of what happens when you are more of yourself.
The Lyrans also keep coming through as a strong pointer towards what's coming next in terms of...
the Lyrans and the Pleiadians are offshoots of evolutionary forms of what the Anunnaki became.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
You understand the Anunnaki?
Yeah, but I'm
the Anunnaki no longer exist in their original form. They evolved and went into systems that you now recognize as the Lyrans, which also gave progeny to the existence of the Pleiadians. So they are your cousins in many ways.
What can you tell me about my specific lineage?
Nothing at this time because there is no time for it. This will be another conversation because there is a lot of information to unpack in that conversation.
That I'm going to be discovering and...
Well, yes, but also simply for the auspices of this transmission, it is simply more information than we have time for.
I understand.
So thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be in service with you.
And you as well.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask about the crystal skulls too. Again.
All right. What about them?
I'm thinking of looking for one of the crystal skulls.
Go right ahead. I'm not stopping you.
Yeah, right. So
I already told you where you could find one of them.
Yeah, right.
In the northeastern United States or Canada, called Sequoia.
Well, I will go to the place which is much closer to where I live.
So that would be either Tibet or Thailand?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Are you going for Shan or Tet?
Tet.
Oh, all right. You're going to Thailand.
Yes, right. And could you spell out the name of the temples?
Angkor Wat.
What? Yeah, I couldn't find that in Google.
You can't find Angkor Wat?
It's not. It's different from Angkor Wat in Cambodia, I guess.
But this is the general area.
Okay, so it's
we are only referring to the general area, not necessarily the specific country.
All right.
Because the skull moves around.
What do you mean by skull moving around? You mean...
Either a person can carry it from one country to another, or the skull itself can transport itself from one area to another. It is connected to the temple of Angkor Wat, as you say. But at the moment that we answered your question in the private session, it happened to be in Thailand.
I see. That's what you meant.
Yes.
Okay. So
we are telling you where the skull is, not where it was. But we told you that it was in Angkor Wat and was connected to that temple.
I see. So maybe it moved from Cambodia to Thailand.
Yes.
Okay.
At that moment. Who knows where it is now?
Well, I will just go to the general area around the Angkor Wat. I will walk around.
Follow your excitement, follow your passion. Think and include the vibration of the idea of the skull within it, and it will call to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And you told us about the high priest in Atlantean times.
Yes.
Who was very revered. And I want to ask about that individual.
No, not at this time.
Okay. I was thinking that you would say no.
You are so psychic. I am glad to produce the result that you created in your mind.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Can I ask the archetypal energy that represents archetypal energy and energy of Kukumat's skull?
The archetypal energy of Kukumats?
Yes.
Well, it has to do with the idea of extra-dimensional beings that you refer to as dragons.
Okay.
So it's ancient wisdom, ancient power, ancient insight, ancient knowledge. Yes?
Yes.
It is also connected to the concept of comets, the messengers that deliver things from one place to another.
Okay.
And cause cycles to begin and end on many planets. And seed other planets with life.
Wow. That sounds really, really primal or very significant.
Yes, it's called panspermia. The spreading of different genetic material from planet to planet through comets and asteroids. But the idea of the comet is associated because of its fiery tail, so to speak, with the concept of the dragon as well. And they were often called dragons of the sky. It is also why many people feel, in a sense, kind of a foreboding omen when they see a comet and associate the idea of omens in the negative sense with it, because they know from past history that many comets have been responsible for wiping out certain cultures and civilizations on your planet, such as Atlantis. And that's why you have kind of this, well, I'll just put it as a love-hate relationship with the concept of dragons.
Yeah, that's very true. Uh-huh.
So, does that help?
Yes, that does help.
All right.
I had an experience in a meditation where an amethyst crystal skull was given to me by 2 dolphins.
Yes.
And in following my excitement, what transpired was some synchronistic events where literally I was going to Florida and there was a hurricane coming and we still went anyway, and we were guided to get some crystals to put into the ocean. And I met this guy, medicine man, and I told him about my meditation with the crystal skull, and he told me he was a walk-in dolphin, and he said 1 moment, and he walked away, and he came back from his room, and he handed me an amethyst crystal skull.
Yes.
Very large-sized crystal skull, and said, I am now the guardian and the keeper of this skull. And I feel that it's connected to the 12 original crystal skulls.
Yes, the 13, actually, because there is a master skull. And the idea is that the original amethyst skull is under the sea.
Yes.
In the ruins of Atlantis. And therefore the dolphins are the keepers at the moment.
Who are the 13?
The 13 are, in different ages, different individuals that have been handed down information and are the keepers of the crystal skull energies that contain information of your entire history on the planet. They are a type of council that are connected to the stars and connected to Earth in a particular way. You may call them shamanistic individuals, if you wish, and are usually members of indigenous cultures on your planet, though not always.
Okay. I was told I was one of them, or connected to that in some way.
No, you are not one of
Okay,
them. You
all
would
right.
know it if you were.
Yeah,
You wouldn't have
I wasn't
to ask.
sure.
You may be connected to the vibrational energy
Yeah.
that they represent, but you are not literally physically one of them.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Some friends and I are going hunting for the red crystal skull, Pele, on Hawaii.
Oh, have a good time.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. And I had this download and a meditation around the idea that you've revealed some of the locations of the skulls generally.
Yes.
And I had this idea that in that general location, the skulls may be overlapping ley lines that are within that general area. Can you confirm?
Maybe.
Is the red skull overlapping any ley lines?
It might be.
Okay, because the actual instruction that I got was to use a dowsing rod.
All right.
As a permission slip.
I don't mean to be cryptic, but yes, I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned with the crystal skulls that when you sing to them, we would sing to them in chant, and that would draw out information from the skulls.
Yes, because you create a certain frequency and the information is embedded in the skulls in those frequencies. So as you go up the scales and create different harmonics, information will be released from the skull having been embedded in those frequencies.
Yeah. And so with the red skull, is there a specific chant?
By the way,
yes,
this is a perfect opportunity to understand the synchronicity of why different musical notes are actually called keys. They unlock things that you know not of.
I love that. So with the red skull, is there? I've also received or thought that there may be specific chants for each skull that's unique to the skull.
Of course.
And for the red, my intuition was, well, that's going to be a chant that may resonate with actually the lower chakras of our body.
The Hawaiian war chant.
The Hawaiian war chant.
Yes.
Noted.
Because it wasn't really originally a war chant.
The Hawaiian war chant.
It was the idea, as you're saying, of the power base of physical reality.
And so you also said the piecing together of ourselves, the integration of ourselves, will be reflected in our ability to gather the skulls. And so the archetype of each skull can be a great clue to say, where is this aspect of myself not being fully expressed?
It's a very powerful and very, very strong archetypal permission slip for a lot of people on your planet.
And so what is the archetypal energy of Pele?
Well, as I said, the base vibrational power of physical reality, the crucible of life into which things are melted and reformed. Yes?
Yeah.
All you have to do is understand the workings of Pele in the form you express it of a volcano. It melts things down, and when they cool off, it recrystallizes into something else. Constant transformation, constant breakdown, constant rebuilding.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
You also mentioned that the dolphins are the, quote, guardians of the master skull, which we've talked about being off the coast of Florida.
Yes, the Atlantean master skull.
Yeah. And so my understanding is that we'll find the skull when we sync up.
Damn good and ready.
When we're damn good and ready. And the dolphins will, in a sense, lead us to the skull.
They will help.
They will help. Amazing.
Recently, I had a dream.
Yes.
It was actually a few weeks prior to the Crystal Skull event you had with the Mitch's Hedges skull.
Yes.
Not really making the connection until like the day before the event.
That's all right.
I had a dream of a very vivid, realistic dream of a UFO coming over a cliff, coming very close, and then projecting a hologram of a skull on my right. And
yes, the template for the original master skull.
Interesting. And then
you keep saying that.
Well, all of this is so interesting.
It is.
And that has sort of started a number of synchronicities on a quest for these skulls. And
and are you having fun on that quest?
Very much.
Oh, yes. All right.
I'm kind of busy with my show, so I'm trying to get that off the plate.
Isn't that part of your quest?
It is part of the quest.
All right.
It is. And so...
Yes.
So speaking of skulls...
Yes.
You mentioned before that perhaps there were... And this is my interpretation, I may have got it wrong, but there were hybrids being keepers of some of the skulls? And I'm wondering if those were...
In a sense, hybrids? But we're talking about a different level here. We're not talking about on physical reality. We're talking about some of the higher astral places that we've already discussed. And they are the keepers of the templates of the skulls.
Templates, so like astral versions of the skulls.
Yes.
Okay. So they're not necessarily alive in physical bodies on the planet. That would be a different...
The hybrids?
The hybrids.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But again, remember, as things merge...
We merge the worlds together.
And they become physical on your world, and you become more astral in theirs.
And
this is why we keep saying, you need to meet us halfway.
Right. And for some of these skulls, they have different names. We got into Cucumats, we got into Sequoia and Pele, representing different archetypes.
Yes.
Maybe this came across before, I may have missed it, but what did the Pele skull represent? What archetypal energy?
Do you not understand the idea of the power of fire in the earth?
I do, yeah.
It represents the idea of blood.
Ah.
The lava is the blood of the earth.
So blood archetypes. I will do some research on that.
Oh, all right.
What is the cultural connection between Aztlan, the American Indian cultures, and Egypt?
Well, as the American Indians moved across North, Central, and South America and populated those particular continents, Atlantis became one of the colonies. So you see the architecture of Atlantis, even though many of your legends depict it kind of more as Grecian-style architecture, was not. It was more Aztec in appearance, in terms of the Cyclopean blocks and so on and so forth. The idea is that it was an American Indian colony. And it ventured out into the ocean and created other excursions into Europe and Northern Africa, eventually after the destruction, having many Atlanteans, priesthood, hierarchy, and mainstream individuals coming into those particular cultures and creating certain understandings of technology and agriculture and mathematics and so on and so forth. to preserve the knowledge that had been lost in the destruction of the Atlantean capital.
And as you've shared, the crystal skulls were integral in that process?
Some of them, yes. The master skull still lies at the bottom of the ocean in the Bahamas, where the main capital of Atlantis used to be.
Wow. And what is the significance of the mound cultures of the American Indians and their connection?
They are, to some degree, also an offshoot preserving knowledge in the earthworks, so that, again, that knowledge would be preserved, knowing that at some point, hint now, that knowledge would be rediscovered.
On that note, you've
Yes.
mentioned that the effigy of the Serpent Mound in Ohio may contain a crystal skull within its vicinity?
I said there is a crystal skull somewhere around there.
Right.
But the secret of where it is lies in the Serpent Mound. So if you can decode it, you'll find it.
Is that something physically buried or
Yes.
And if okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
How exciting.
Yes, yes, yes.
It seems that I have to ask about the Serpent Mound.
Yes, Serpent Mound in Ohio.
Yeah, right. Last night you said to the
I said there are codes, if you can decode them, in the Serpent Mound that will point you in the direction of where one of the master crystal skulls is buried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So the
yes, I know. Thank you for confirming that.
You're right. Yeah, I know you know. The skull is that skull is a sequoia skull. Sequoia skull.
Yes, sequoia.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I thought I didn't think that Ohio could be considered to be a northeastern region of
It's northeast from where you are now.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. I know that too.
Mm-hmm. And I was kind of trying to decode that code in Serpent Mound.
Yes, well, go ahead. Play with it. See what you get.
Yeah, my
Do
guess.
your research.
Yeah, my guess is that the skull may be in the direction of true north from the sun.
I am not going to give you any more assistance. Go and do your research. Go and play with it.
I did go to Serpent Mound this August.
Then have fun.
Yeah, I did.
All right. See what you get.
You're right. There are many astronomical alignments at Serpent Mound.
Yes.
Like its face, its head is facing the sunset time of summer solstice.
Yes.
Maybe that may be the one clue. And
maybe.
Also, I was very attracted to the fact that one of the stars. I have to ask.
If you have to ask.
The Draco constellation, about Draco constellation.
Draco, yes.
Yeah, right. Serpent Mound Serpent Mound imitates the Draco constellation.
There's a connection.
Okay. And one of the stars in Draco constellation used to be North Pole star, maybe when the Serpent Mound was created. Is that right?
I'm not giving you any more clues.
I'm not asking for clues.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Well,
so, bye-bye.
About this information, okay.
Bye-bye.
Oh, just that's it?
That's it on the Serpent Mound.
Hello, Bashar. This is Toshi from Tokyo, Japan. You said in the last transmission in September that in Ireland there is also one of the 13 master crystal skulls. So my question is, what's the name of that crystal skull, and what kind of archetypal energy does that crystal skull in Ireland represent? Thank you. Bye-bye.
It represents a strong connection to nature spirits. That's what it basically represents. One moment. There is nothing in the channel's vocabulary that would allow us to pronounce the name. That's it. There is nothing in the channel's vocabulary that would translate into the appropriate name. It does have a name, but it's in what you would call ancient Celtic.
Okay, so how do you see the human brain? Do you see it as a receiver, a processor, or a transducer?
Well, as we said, the higher mind is the conceiver. The physical brain is, in that sense, the receiver, and the physical mind is the perceiver. So it is a translation device that takes the higher frequency energy from the non-physical higher mind and rearranges it according to the belief systems in the physical mind in a way that is compatible for the physical mind to perceive and act upon those things.
Fantastic. So the human skull is a container that holds the human brain.
It is a resonating container, a resonating container.
Ooh, I like that. Is that how you would also describe the crystal skulls?
Yes, in many ways. They operate on certain frequencies, certain resonances that connect them to other skulls and to other dimensions of reality. They translate things in a certain way.
Do they also hold information?
Yes.
Okay. So as we raise our frequency and we begin to resonate with those crystal skulls, will we be able to unlock more information regarding our galactic history?
Yes. Or at the very least, the history of your planet.
Oh, good. So when you initially gave that crystal skull transmission, it was on Easter weekend. Can you give us more information as to the synchronicity of that timing?
Perhaps next Easter I will.
Well, can you give me a little background on if we will be resurrecting more crystal skulls in the near future?
Relatively speaking, yes. You will discover more crystal skulls in your so-called future.
Okay. But you're not going to tell me how long.
I don't do predictions.
Okay. You also talked about the crystal skulls and their connection to AI, which I understand you've already sort of covered the idea that there's no such thing as artificial intelligence, just intelligence itself.
Yes, and you can have a so-called artificial device that allows the intelligence to express itself.
Okay, great.
Bashar.
Good day.
Good day. Great to speak with you again.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
First off, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what you know about the She and where they come from and what their story is.
Well, they're, again, part of the interdimensional elemental groups that exist in between, so to speak, in a slightly more refined version of physical reality that's connected to Earth, overlapping into the lower levels of the astral realm so they can come and go and present themselves as they need to humans when and where it seems appropriate to them to do so. They are strongly connected to the idea of shape-shifting energy that is available to all beings on Earth should you attempt to connect to that particular level to help you understand how you shift all the time from reality to reality. They're very representative of the idea of the realms of magic, so to speak, the idea of, again, attuning to different reality, parallel realities, and allowing yourself to sort of shape-shift into them to represent whatever degree of that reality you need to represent your path in life. So the She are very good as representatives of the go-betweens, the interdimensionalization of your awareness to become more than you think yourselves to be, to become more magical in your experience of life, to experience more synchronicities, to be presented with the idea of curiosity and clues and puzzles that allow you to solve your own internal sort of questions and follow the paths that lead to your own discovery of internal treasures.
Lovely. And is there an extraterrestrial history to the She?
Well, only in the sense that they can commune with those beings from other places. They themselves are not extraterrestrial. They're very anchored to the Earth, but again, in a multidimensional way. But anything that allows itself to experience its own multidimensionality will, by definition, overlap into the ability to communicate with extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial and even spirit beings.
Lovely. Okay, thank you. And the crystal skull, the one that found itself in Ireland, at the time that it found itself arriving to Ireland, what are some of the things that might have happened around that time? What was the society like, and how might they have interfaced with the crystal skull or reacted to it, or what was going on around that time?
A lot. Well, it's mostly the idea of what you consider to be the Druidic times, the ancient Celts. But the idea is that a lot of the information that was derived from the crystal skulls is what allowed things like Stonehenge and other kinds of dolmens to be built at the time. So the understanding of those things had been locked into the crystal skulls and was extracted by Druidic priests from the crystal skulls and ancient Atlanteans to help build those things that would help orient you in the future.
And would it have been something that would have been kept private and very, or would a lot of people have known about this?
Well, a lot of people may have known, but the practice was mostly kept in what would be considered to be the priesthoods.
Yeah. Okay. And would it have been in contrast to general society at the time, the way things are at the moment, in a sense?
Well, to some degree, yes. I mean, again, it is a special practice to have been a Druidic priest, especially from the ancient Atlantean lines. So not everyone was really adept at going in that direction, but some of the information, some of it, was freely shared with the general public, although some of it over time became more symbolized and more ritualized and more separated.
Okay. And would the Sidhe have interfaced with this crystal skull, or would they have anything to do?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is it still buried somewhere, or is it under care at the moment?
Both. Those that care for it know where it is buried.
Okay.
They can still care for it in their own way, because it's all about energetics.
And are those carers human?
Well, yes, but they are exhibiting a high level of genetic diversity in terms of the idea that all humans are hybridized.
Wow, interesting.
Are you able to share anything fascinating that you have not shared yet about the 13 skulls, the 13 crystal skulls?
One moment.
Sure.
Have you visited what are called the Serpent Mounds in your area of Ohio?
On my list.
Go, and when you meditate there, you may get some information from one of the skulls that is connected to that culture.
And is the skull there, or it's just there's a connection there?
The skull is instructing us to say that the word there is a relative term, not meaning to be too cryptic, but the skulls are very cryptic.
So are they there on a different frequency and we're unable to see them?
Yes.
Understood.
Okay, and this person's asking about the Mitchell-Hedges skull. They were in a private session with the Mitchell-Hedges skull, and they brought their clear crystal skull to absorb the energy of the Mitchell-Hedges skull. How much information does one crystal skull absorb from another, and what kind of information can a crystal skull reflect back to you?
All the information that is absorbed and all the information that is reflected to any particular individual is all the information that is relevant for that individual's life path. It doesn't necessarily absorb all of the information in a master skull like the Mitchell-Hedges skull, but it will absorb everything that is relevant for the individual connected to the skull that is doing the absorbing.